My name is Kyle Myers. I work in athletic administration at UND. I'm a former football player and coach, and I'm also the author of Beating MS, Lessons in Resilience, Reinvention, and Leadership. But long before the book, I was simply a young athlete who thought life was going exactly according to plan. But then one day, it wasn't. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 14 years old. At that age, you don't think about your body betraying you. You think about goals, dreams, competition, success. You think that you have all the time in the world. And honestly, one of the hardest parts about hearing those words from the doctor wasn't even the diagnosis. It was the fear that came after it. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of losing control, the fear of wondering whether the version of yourself that you once knew still existed at all. I know many of you can understand what I mean. Illness changes more than our bodies. It can challenge our identity. It can challenge our confidence. It can challenge our plans. Sometimes it even challenges our hope. And when life changes, suddenly people around you, they often focus on the physical fight, the treatments, the appointments, the recovery. But internally, there's another battle happening. You're trying to figure out, who am I now? What does my future look like now? Can my life still be as meaningful as it was? Those are heavy questions. For me, football had always been a huge part of my identity. Competing, training, being tough, pushing through adversity. That was how I understood me. So when MS entered my life, I felt the foundation underneath me had shifted. But over time, I realized that adversity has a way of revealing who we really are. One of the chapters in my book is called Film Don't Lie. That phrase comes from football. In sports, people can talk about how hard they work. They can talk about leadership. They can talk about toughness. But eventually, everybody will see the game film. The film tells the truth. That is the reality. The film shows effort, or the lack thereof. It shows resilience. The film shows who kept going when things became difficult. I think life works in that same way. Life eventually reveals what's inside of us, not through the perfect moments, not through the easy seasons, but through the difficult ones. You've already demonstrated incredible strength by continuing to push forward. You may not always feel strong. You may not wake up every day feeling courageous. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is continuing despite the fear. Strength is not pretending everything is fine. Strength is showing up anyway. Sometimes strength looks like getting out of bed. Sometimes it looks like walking into yet another appointment. Sometimes strength is allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Sometimes strength looks like choosing hope when it will be easier to simply give up. That's important because survivors are often celebrated for winning the battle. But people don't always acknowledge the emotional weight that came along with surviving that battle. The loneliness, the uncertainty, exhaustion, the mental battles that nobody else can see. But even in those moments, you kept going, and that matters. One of the biggest lessons my journey taught me is that life may change. It will change. But purpose, real purpose, that doesn't fade. My diagnosis changed my path, but it didn't end the journey. In many ways, it redirected me toward becoming the person who I think I was actually supposed to be anyway. I love being a father, a mentor. I learned to become a better leader. I even eventually became an author. None of those things happened because I ignored adversity. Many of them happened because adversity forced me to grow, just differently than what I planned. That doesn't mean I'm grateful for the suffering, because sometimes it really fucking sucks. But I'm grateful for the perspective that I've earned. Challenges have a way of teaching us what truly matters. They teach us the value of each moment, to value them differently, to value people differently, time differently. They teach us empathy. They teach us resilience. They remind us that life is bigger than simply existing. One thing I've learned is that reinvention is necessary and possible at any stage of life. Sometimes we think our original plan was the only plan worth having, but life has a way of rewriting those stories. Sometimes the rewritten versions become more impactful than the original ones ever could have been. This story still matters. Your life still matters. Your voice still matters. Your experiences, including the painful ones, it may eventually become that very thing that encourages somebody else to keep going. It's one of the reasons why I wrote my book. Not because I have all the answers, but because I know what it feels like to sit in that uncertainty and wonder if it'll ever feel as hopeful as it once did. And if my story can help anyone feel seen, then sharing it feels worth it. You may not have chosen this battle, but your response to it can still become someone else's hope. The way you continue, the way you adapt, the way that you love people, the way that you keep showing up despite the difficult days, that has power, and that power speaks loudly. I hope everyone understands that life is not defined by what happens to us. It's defined by the strength, grace, resilience, and the humanity that we continue with and we continue to share beyond our struggles. Thank you for allowing me to share part of my story with you. And I hope that the book gives you the additional support that you're looking for to help you keep pushing.